Hello, everyone. I wish I was there in the Adirondacks with all you guys, enjoying the foliage and the beautiful walks in the mountains, and the texture of conversation that is, in my experience of the Philosopher's Camp, has been always inspiring. And so I've been asked by David and David to give commentary, pardon the handheld device here, but to give commentary on a fascinating essay about social trust and the unexpected. And so it's my pleasure to do so. In the essay, the writer talks about the fact that the notion of universal harmony has been with us for centuries, and has been sort of the foundation for many of our institutions, and a goal for people engaging with life experiences, to create a kind of harmonious existence. And in a sense, the notion for universal harmony, following the logic of this essay, is for us to convert chaos into harmony, chaos into order, which is, we confront a chaotic world, a turbulent world, and our institutions, our socialization processes enable us to create some sense of order, get some sense of control from that sort of notion. But as the essay demonstrates very powerfully through personal reflection of the author's experience, it is, the notion is that order can be very limiting to our experience, right? And can lead us to lead us to a state in which the late Clifford Geertz called the dead hand of competence, doing what is expected within the brackets of expectation, which leads to a kind of turgid discourse of expectation, not very interesting, not very dynamic, risk averse kind of life. And so the essay asks us to consider how do we deal with the unexpected? How do we deal with turbulence in our life? And how do we break out of the set of expectations that our institutions create for us? How do we break out of that? And this reminds me of a Sufi story that I think has relevance for the argument in this essay. And the Sufi story goes something like this. There is an old man who leads a very comfortable life of expectation, within the bounds of expectation, very comfortable. And he gets a message. And the message said that his old friend who lives in another village is very, very ill. And that could he come and see him before the old man, his friend, dies. So he sets about his journey, leaving behind his village and his comfortable life. And he, to get to the other village, he has to cross a footbridge that spans a deep gorge and a raging river underneath, right? It turns out that the man has a terrible fear of heights, and so he approaches the drawbridge with great trepidation, not knowing what to do. And he puts his weight on the drawbridge. And it's a handheld thing with ropes, and the wind is whipping up, and the pieces of wood on the drawbridge, on the footbridge, begin to creak. He gets to the middle of it, and the wind whips him back and forth, back and forth. He looks over and sees the current, the sort of rapids beneath, and he fears for his life. And in that moment, between, at the middle of that bridge, he has a moment of revelation. His mind clears, and he realizes what he needs to do to move forward. And so he moves forward, reaches the other side of the river, sees his friend, and has a sort of a rebirth of ideas and excitement. So in a sense, he was in the middle between his past and his future. He was between his comfortable past of expectation and there, confronted with the turbulence of the between, his mind clears and he realizes what he needs to do, and he sees the world anew and moves on to his future with renewed vigor and renewed creativity, renewed invention. So, that sort of issue, I think, it lies at sort of the heart of what the author of this intriguing essay has to say, right? It reminds me of what the Sufis call the between, right? The between, where you're neither here nor there. You're between your life and your death. You're between your past and your future. In the immediate presence, there's turbulence, but in that space of uncertainty, not knowing what's going to happen, in that space of innovation, in that space of invention, there is risk, but in that context of risk, there is also creativity. There is creativity. And how do we reach the point where we're willing to take that kind of risk? I think the author of this essay is suggesting that. How do we gain the social trust that gives us the space to be inventive, to be creative, to be innovative? So I have 3 questions I'm going to leave you with, and I hope that they generate some measure of conversation for whatever session you're having, up there in Upper J. There is the first question is, what is it about social turbulence that provokes change, provokes innovation, provokes invention? What is it about, or inspiration? What is it about social turbulence that creates that clearing of the mind, if you will, of the man on the bridge? Second question, how can we harvest the power of the between how do we harvest that harvest of the power of the between to make space for social change, right? And finally, how do we emerge from the fog of expectation to see social life anew? Those are the questions I leave you with. I hope my commentary is a little bit provocative. I miss all of you guys. I wish I were there. And I know that the sessions and the camaraderie and the conviviality will be fantastic. And hopefully next year I'll be able to be there in person. So thank you so much for inviting me to give this commentary. I hope it provides the spark for some conversation. Thanks so much. Take care.